What's up, Melanated family? This is your boy Harrison, man, bringing you a brand new episode of the Melanated Convo podcast. I'd like to welcome everybody to the show. This is your first time tuning into the show. What we do here is we talk about important things that are going on in the community. We do that with our news stories. We have different news stories about different things going on in the black community that I think are pertinent and that I think we need to talk about. Another thing we do here on the Melanated Convo podcast is we have black businesses. We have what I call the Black Business Spotlight, where I talk about different black businesses that I feel all of us in the community need to support, that we need to be aware of. With everything that's going on right now, everything that continues to happen in our community, we can't stress enough how important finances are and how important it is for us to support the people around us. If we look at our economy, just as far as black folks is concerned, we spend a lot of money outside of our community. If we could figure out a way to kind of stifle some of that money back to our community, back to the black businesses that deserve it, we'll get much further in society. That's just my personal opinion. There's a lot of black businesses around the country. A lot of them need our support. Again, we spend money, a lot of money, with people outside of our community. So it's always important, for us to look at the different businesses around us and lend the support when we can, right? So I talk about the black businesses, and also every show there is a topic of the show. So we go over the black businesses, we go over the news stories that I thought were pertinent, and then of course we talk about a topic for a minute. Today's topic will be about history. I know I talk about it a lot on the different platforms that I'm on, but I think that's really important for our community. Getting an understanding of history gives you a contextual understanding of what you're looking at now, right? So I'm gonna get into what I think we should start teaching our kids. If you're a black person, if you're a melanated person, a melanated man or woman who has never really dug deep into our history, that's fine. I think you can start now, right? So I'm gonna give you a few things that I think would be great to start with. Just if you want to start the conversation about black history in America with your kids, I'm gonna give you a few things that I think would be great for you to start with, right? So first thing I wanted to cover also is, over the past 2 months, I've been doing something, me and the family have been doing something called the Shelter in Place Community Outreach Program. This was a program that took place at Thompson Rose Chapel Funeral Home, my family's business. And basically what we would do for 2 months on Mondays and Wednesdays is feed everyone in the community that was adversely affected by the COVID-19 situation. So we provided lunches from 11 a.m. until all the food was gone. We have officially ended the program. Last week was the last week for the program, but I wanted to come on here today to thank everybody. It's so many people in the community that donated. It's so many people in the community that gave their time, that gave their money, and I'm completely humbled by that. I'm completely appreciative. It's the past 2 or 3 years, 2 or 3, 4 years, I've been attempting to do events and, figure out different ways that I can empower my community based on the knowledge that I have, based on my experiences, right? So when doing this, we haven't really asked for money. Anything that we've been throwing or any event that we have been putting on, all of it has been out of pocket so far. So the fact that I finally decided to get the community to help out, and people, from people that I'm really close to people that have just been following my movement, people have really, really, really helped out. So I'm so humbled by that. I'm appreciative. I just want to continue to thank everybody that helped out. Due to your donations and what you were able to do, we were able to feed over 1,000 people, y'all. Over that 2-month time period, we were able to feed over 1,000 people. So I'm just thank you. And to me, that just shows the power of our community, right? That just shows the power that we have when we decide to come together. Even though that's on a pretty small scale, still, I'm still impressed by that. And that's encouraging to know moving forward, when it's time to build, when it's time to put things together, that the community got my back. You know what I mean? So I'm humbled by that, you guys. Thank you. Anybody who contributed to the Shelter in Place Community Outreach Program, like I said, it's over now. Last week was the last week, or last week was the last, that made week 10, I think, so 2 months, almost 3 months actually. So I appreciate everybody helping out, man. I'll be sure to let you guys know when I'm going to do something again so we can get back on that. And again, man, unity, coming together, it's one thing to talk about what needs to happen in the community, or talk about what we need and how we need help and all this other shit. But sometimes you just got to do it. You know what I mean? Sometimes you just got to do it. And I appreciate everybody who helped out. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Now, oh, also, if you're watching this on Facebook, if you're watching this on Facebook, please hit that like button. Hit the like button, share the video. Hit the like button, share the video. If you're watching it on YouTube, please hit the like button, hit the notification bell, so you can get all the new videos. If you haven't subscribed to Melanated Fathers TV, please do that right now. Even if you're on Facebook, get off Facebook real quick. Get off Facebook real quick. Go to YouTube. Go to Melanated Fathers TV on YouTube. Subscribe to the channel. You'll see all the shows there. You'll see a lot of things we post about history there. We post a lot of lectures and interviews, older interviews from black people throughout our history. Black people throughout our history who have been influential and that I think people can learn from. So the Melanated Fathers TV YouTube channel has a lot of great information I think we all can learn from. So please go there today, subscribe. Now, let's get the show started, family. Like I said, man, this is the Melanated Convo podcast. Let's get it going. Now, first thing I wanted to touch on was the black businesses. I like to go over the black businesses first, just to give you guys a frame of reference of who you should support. I'm always, when I'm online, I always see people asking about who are the black businesses in their area. Hey, I got some money, I want to support a black business. Who should I support? So I try my best to find people that I know that are qualified and willing to do good work for you, family. So the first business of the day, and this is a sister that I spoke about last week, a sister named Shakira Rule, who is a credit repair specialist. Now, she has been a credit repair specialist for the last 4 years. Her goal is to educate our community on the power of credit. She has assisted hundreds of individuals and families nationwide in reaching their goal for home ownership. Negative items such as collections, student loans, medical bills, and even bankruptcies can be removed from your credit report as little as 30 to 90 days. And that's something that she would be able to help you with, family. If you want to set up a free 30-minute consultation with the sister Shakira Rule, you can contact her by phone or messenger, or message her on her number at 916-509-1165. That's 916-509-1165. Or you can even email her at shakirarule19@gmail.com. That's shakirarule19@gmail.com. That's the sister's email address. So again, if we're talking about finances and black businesses and how important that is, but also on a personal level, family, if we're looking to buy a house, if you're looking to get an apartment, if you're looking to get a car, we all need to realize how important our personal credit score is in just elevating in life. And even when you're in a position where you may not be buying a house or doing nothing like that, you'll be surprised how many entities, how many companies actually view your credit score before they decide to do business with you, right? So it's important that we focus on our personal credit. It's damn near more important than having cash these days. You feel me? So reach out to the sister Shakira Rule. And like I said last week, even if you feel your credit's doing okay, even if you feel like the trajectory of your credit is okay at the moment, if you can use the 30-minute consultation, it's free. You may determine that there's a couple things you haven't been looking at that she can help you with. You may determine that there's a few things that you weren't aware of that she can help you with, right? So in any case, reach out to the sister. Her name is Shakira Rule. The number again is 916-509-1165. Or you can email her at shakirarule19@gmail.com. That's shakirarule19@gmail.com. Credit is extremely important. I've known a lot of people who've needed these type of services, and they go out and find any company that they think can help them out. I say, why not deal with somebody in your community that can provide for you that same type of assistance, right? So when you go to her Facebook page and everything she has popping with it, she has a lot of testimonials of people who has done business with her, have trusted her with their information, and she has given them beautiful results. So again, go to ShakiraRule19@gmail.com, or you can reach her that way to get your consultation popping, or you can call her at 916-509-1165. Even if you just want to leave a message, you can message her at that number. She'll be able to help you out. She is a credit repair specialist. Now, for the next business, this is the business that I spoke about maybe a month ago on this same show about a month ago, right? But I'm talking about it again today because I actually got my shoes in the mail. So the company that I'm talking about is HueyCompany.com. It's HueyCompany.com. Now, just to give you a little information about the company, they sell shoes, they sell clothes, they have hats, shirts, things of that nature. But a little bit about the company: this project was intended to bring comfort and performance into the world of black justice. Named Huey after the death of Black Panther Party leader Huey P. Newton, the brand was built to honor Huey of his brave contribution to the civil rights movement and bridge the gap between lifestyle and performance, creating products to withstand all day, everyday wear and tear. So look, y'all, these are a pair of kicks called Freedom Trainers. You see that? Freedom Trainers. These is dope, y'all. I really recommend dealing with this company. Even before I got my shoes, I was really pumping the company up. And here's the thing, family. Being black in this society, we have to be real with ourselves. We worship certain brands, man. I don't know a man. It's the majority of the men that I know, the majority of the black young men that I see in the street, we got on somebody's shoes, right? Typically like a Jordan, right? Like a $200 pair of shoe, $100-something pair of shoe. I'm not telling you what you do. I'm not telling you what to do with your money, family, but we need to support our own too. You can be just as fly, just as dope with somebody that looks like you. You feel me? Buy some shoes from somebody that looks just like you. So take a look at the shoes again. You feel me? If you're just listening to the audio, I'm actually showing a pair of a pair of shoes from the Huey Company. These is called the Freedom Trainers, and that's something that I like, family. All of the shoes got names that are linked to our struggle. That's linked to revolution, right? They got like the Black Panther Mark V's, the Black Power Runners. I mean, that shit is just dope to me, right? So we need to, because I understand like wanting to support a black brand, but still wanting to be fly, right? So you look at some clothes or some shoes that somebody may be selling that's black, and you think to yourself like, I don't want to relinquish any of the flyness just to fuck with somebody that's black, right? So that's why once I got the shoes, I was like, you know what? I got to go to the family again and talk to them about it because they're comfortable, they're real durable, like they're made, they're really quality pair of shoes, and these are called the Freedom Runners. These things is hard, family. Come on now. Y'all got to admit that, man. Come on now. These things is hard, man. So I'm going to put up the information in the caption so everybody can deal with the company if you want to, but it's HueyCompany.com. HueyCompany.com. Again, they have shoes, they have do-rags, they have hats, they have shirts. Because of everything going on with COVID-19 right now, their shipping is a little bit delayed, so it may take between like 15 and 20 some odd days to get the shoes. But family, we spent a lot of money with people outside of our community, a part of this revolution. I know some people were out there marching and protesting and doing what they can to combat injustice against melanated people, and I appreciate that. But there are several levels to this war, and there is a financial component to this war as well that we need to be cognizant of. And one way that you can fight is with your money also, by supporting people who look like you, so we can build up a bigger infrastructure of black businesses, so we can try to make sure our money circles around in our community several times before it goes outside of the community. So that should be one of our biggest one of the biggest motivating factors for all of this, is getting the money in our community to circulate several times before it leaves. That's a form of revolution as well, family. It's not all just about marching or protesting or speaking truth to power or creating organizations to combat white supremacy. All of these things are necessary, but we can't leave out certain components, right? The financial component is a really big thing that we need to focus on. So everybody go to HueyCompany.com. That's HueyCompany, HueyCompany.com. Get yourself a pair of shoes, get yourself a hat. Let me show you my Freedom Runners again. These things is hard. Nobody can front. These is $55, family. $55. They're comfortable, they durable. Come on now. Rock with your people. So that's HueyCompany.com. Mess with them today. Now, that is it for the black businesses for the day. Now, we are going to go to some news stories. And like I said, there's always a lot of news going on in black society. I pick the stories that I feel comfortable talking about, the stories that I have a little passion about, the stories where I can provide input, or the stories that I feel we all need to know. And if you go to melanatedfathers.com, that's my website, melanatedfathers.com, you'll find a lot of these same news stories. And the point of the news, family, we need to be up to date what goes on in our society or with our people specifically. Now, of course, you can go to CNN for your news. You can go to CNBC for your news and just get a general idea of what's going on in the world. I don't knock that, but for me, I need to know about what's going on with my people specifically. You know what I mean? So I always look at it like I think we should all get a little information about politics, a little information about religion out there, find different places to get the kind of information that you need. But the primary thing that you should be worried, and this is my opinion, like I don't want to put this on nobody else, but the primarily the thing you should be worried about is your people. How does whatever you're reading affect the people that look like you? How whatever you're studying, how is that going to affect the people that look like you? That's why Melanated Fathers of America, the organization, melanatedfathers.com, the website, is some black shit. Like, I don't mean to say it like that, but that's basically what it is, family. That's basically what it is. I wanted to create like an enclave where you can go to this website and you can get some history about black people. You can get some perspective from different black people in society, different men that I post articles about or that I post their videos showing you different ways to think, different perspectives in our culture. I have a lot of information on there about books to read, like the book of the month. And of course, I have news stories, up-to-date news stories about, and again, I only post news stories about things that I'm interested in, things that I think the black family would be able to look at. So if you've been watching CNN, or if you've been looking at CNN's website or Fox's website and all this shit, you can go to melanatedfathers.com and just get a real big dose of what's going on with your people specifically. That's how I designed it, and that's how I'm going to keep pushing it. So let's get into the news stories. I say all that to say, let's get into the news stories. First news story, and we tell these type of news stories about racialized incidents. I know sometimes it can get a little mundane because this type of shit happens to us a lot. But sometimes I'm not talking to the black people or the melanated people who understand how racism works, and they're locked in with the fact that we need to figure out a way to combat this system. We need to figure out a way to battle white supremacy and injustices and, how our people is being treated. Sometimes I'm posting a story for the black person, for the melanated person who's not sure, who think, come on, it ain't that bad. It ain't that bad. All this shit don't keep happening to us. It ain't that bad. It's gonna get better. They don't mean it. Like, you know what I mean? All that kind of shit. So some of these news stories are just to reinforce the type of system that we actually live in. So this news story is about a white woman in Knoxville, Tennessee. A black lady and her friends was trying to go to the pool. So the black woman lives in this apartment complex called Knox Ridge Apartments in Knoxville, Tennessee. She was renting an apartment in this apartment complex. Her and her two friends was looking to go to the pool, right? So white woman at the reception desk stops her and basically says, y'all can't come in here, y'all don't live here. Now, before looking into what apartment she lives in, being kind of humanizing the situation and talking to her about what's going on. She went right to, you guys don't live here. What are you doing here? Now, an argument ensued. And ultimately, the girl and her two friends was turned away. But the irony of the situation is while they were arguing with the white woman, now they don't put the white woman's name in the article, nor do they put the black woman's name neither. So that's why I'm not saying any names. But an argument ensued. And the irony of everything is while they were arguing, because the white woman's stance was, I have to check to make sure whoever comes in here, I have to check you. I have to get all this information from you, right? That's the bullshit she tried to run. Well, the irony is, while they were talking, a white lady walks right by them and walks into the pool, right? Immediately, the sisters is like, whoa, 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 whoa. She just walked right in, right? Then the white receptionist is going to tell her, well, I know everybody that lives in the apartment complex. I personally know. What kind of shit is that? I personally know everybody that live in the apartment complex. Needless to say, you know, they were turned away. They got the manager's email address because of the one of the beauties of camera phones and cell phones is they were able to record the incident. They were able to record a video, right? Now, at the end of the day, the white lady who made these, who made this racist attempt at keeping them out of the swimming pool, she was put on leave. The apartments came out and apologized like they always do, stating that they're not sure why she chose to take that stance. They don't believe in discrimination, blah, 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 blah. And she was put on leave, right? So, again, in this country, we're going through all this racial oppression. We're going through the George Floyd situation, Ahmaud Arbery situation, Breonna Taylor, like just name after name after name. Family, it's important for us to continue to understand how important, it's important for us to understand that fighting for our rights, fighting for justice is going to be an ongoing thing. I don't want people to think just because, you know, companies are coming out right now and supporting black people with finances, with just coming out and saying they stand by us. Some of this that I'm witnessing, I haven't seen since I've been alive. It's many corporate entities kind of backing black people, but we still have to fight, family. There's still a lot of people in this country that don't agree with the perceived justice that we're kind of getting right now. So we need to point it out. When a racist event happens, in my opinion, we're going to continue to point the shit out until it doesn't happen anymore. We don't treat other people the way we get treated, family. So I'm not going to live in this country and continue to be here and continue to deal with being mistreated. Fuck that. Right? So there are different ways we can combat this mistreatment, and one of those ways is pointing it out when it happens. If we have to point out every racialized incident that takes place in this country just to let people know that we mean business, to let people know that we don't like being mistreated, then fuck it. You know what I mean? So she was put on leave. Hopefully she's fired. There's always a lot of news stories about some crazy white lady. They call them Karen, or they have these different names for them. We try to make light of the situation to a degree because the shit happens so much. This shit, we get the police called on us so much by white women that now they're possibly going to create laws to make it sure you can't just call 911 on one of us. You know what I mean? What kind of shit is that? That they have to constitute a law just to stop white women from using the police force. Now, again, it's their fault for racializing these incidents, knowing that when the police get there, we can get fucked up. But this is bigger than just these white women. This is society's fault. This is what you get for deputizing white citizens, allowing white citizens to act as fucking vigilantes all these years, allowing them to act as the law, allowing them to act as the end-all be-all. They don't see the police as the police to them is who they call when they want to get some shit done, right? The police to them is who they call when they want to get this person, this nigga off their property. They use the police to their advantage. In this country, we don't look at the police like that. You feel me? I don't just call the fucking police, family. Some shit, I gotta be dying of a heart attack. It gotta be some medical shit in my family for me to call the police. Why? Because when they show up, I don't know what kind of shit they gonna be on. You know what I mean? So we need to realize that the whole policing mechanism, how policing, and I always talk about slave patrols, I always talk about plantation police, because that's how it fucking started. That's how the policing in America started. It started by policing slaves. You know what I mean? So this shit is the same, and until laws get enacted, because we can't just go around busting them in their mouth. Well, I mean, shit, you can, but then you're gonna get policed even harder. Then you're gonna find yourself in jail. Then you're gonna have to deal with the legal system as far as a jury and a judge and all this kind of shit. And we don't fare very well when we have to deal with that system neither. So the legislation that I see being passed to kind of put these white women in their place, I appreciate that, and I hope it gets to a point where we don't have to report on this kind of shit again. So ultimately, the white lady was put on leave. Hopefully she gets fired. That's how it should be, right? So next news story that I want to talk about real quickly. The brother, and again, every time I see a rapper or an athlete, a black athlete, do something positive for the community, I like to point that out because a lot of our brothers get a bad rap because people say they don't speak out as much. They don't do things to impact or empower the black community. And, there could be some truth to that. But sometimes we don't know what these brothers is doing behind closed doors. So whenever I get information about one of my brothers doing something that is productive and is figuring out a way to try to produce justice, I always like to highlight it. So the brother Russell Westbrook is doing a docu-series about the 1921 Tulsa race riots. Now he's partnering with a company called Blackfin. The name of the docu-series would be Terror in Tulsa, The Rise and Fall of Black Wall Street. He'll executive produce the docu-series. Is being directed by a brother named Stanley Nelson. So this is extremely important because if any of you do not know, excuse me, in 1921, a racial massacre took place in Tulsa after a black teenager was basically, let me see if I can get the story right in my head. I read about it several times, but I have a horrible memory, y'all, so work with me. A black teenager was on an elevator and a white young lady screamed out that he tried to touch her. And this was, just so you guys know, when we talk about a lot of race riots throughout history, the antithesis of a lot of these race riots was this type of scenario in particular, where a white woman blames a black youth or a black man saying that he raped her or did something to her, and that just, from there, all hell's break loose. So a young brother said that a young brother was on the elevator with a woman. She said he touched her. This enraged the white Tulsa resident. So from May 31st, from 1921, May 31st to June 1st, about 18 hours, all hell broke loose. They went to the Greenwood section of Tulsa where Black Wall Street was located. At the end of everything, about 300 people were killed. 90% of them were black. 35 city blocks were burned down. 600 black businesses, including hospitals, movie theaters, all this shit was burned down, right? A bomb was sent on the city. A first time a U.S. city was actually bombed, right? This is considered probably the worst race massacre in history, if not the worst, one of them. So it's definitely a great historical situation that needs to be talked about. Anybody know me, you know how much I love history. So I'm excited that they're going to bring this to the forefront. If we notice, like in today's society, we're living in like the documentary age, right? Where everything about history or about things that have taken place, there's being documentaries done on them. And sometimes these documentaries resurfaces the situation to the point where everybody in society is talking about it. So I appreciate when documentaries about history, documentaries about our history are talked about, that they come to light like this. So everybody in society, for people who don't know, sometimes I read so much about things on history, I forget that everybody doesn't do that. That's not, everybody doesn't find interest in that, right? So hopefully, being that he's a big name, being that he's an athlete, I know how many people in our community respect athletes, right? So hopefully they see that this brother is doing the documentary and they see it and get more information so they can gain perspective. Kind of going into my topic for the day, which is the importance of kind of talking to your kids about history, the importance of having a frame of reference about history. That's why I want to talk about this story, because this is a good example of that, right? So it doesn't say when the documentary is going to come out. The docu-series is going to come out, but it will be sometime soon, I'm sure. LeBron James and I think some other people are doing documentaries about Black Wall Street as well, and I don't think you can have enough of them. You know what I mean? just so we can give perspective to our people. I'm a really big proponent about history, y'all. I think if every black man and woman, every melanated man and woman in the United States took the necessary time to get a clear perspective about history, it would clear up your understanding of a lot of the things that you're looking at, because for the most part, history just repeats itself. So being confused about racism, being confused about politics, being confused about white supremacy, any of that, history kind of can clear it up for you. And I'm going to get into a little bit more of that in a minute. But yes, the brother Russell Westbrook docuseries about the 1921 Tulsa race riots. He says he became intrigued about the story while playing for OKC, because he didn't know about it either. Think about that. So he's an older black man, not older, but in his 20s, early 30s. He didn't know about it either until he went to OKC to play. And on some real shit, this is something he should have learned at his house. This is something all of our kids should be learning in their adolescent years, in their home, from their parents, right? So I'm happy now, because again, I don't put a time limit on when somebody can become conscious or when they can get to a point where they decide they want to do something for their people. If you're fucking 15 or 50, come on in, right? So I appreciate the brother's work. Hopefully it'll be a good docuseries. Everybody be on the lookout for The Terror in Tulsa. The Rise and Fall of Black Wall Street should be coming out soon. Now, next news story. Next and last news story. Something that I seen. I wasn't going to speak about it because this kind of shit happens all the time involving black folks. But I wanted to send out a quick message to black people when it comes to celebrity, right? Because the brother Terry Crews said, and he's goddamn, he sticks his foot in his mouth often, right? Keep it in mind, and I always say this about anybody, I give everybody the benefit of the doubt. I've never spoken with him personally. I'm just hearing what he says. Now, sometimes what he say could be getting taken out of context. Sometimes he could be wording it wrong, whatever the case may be. But the brother puts his foot in his mouth quite often, especially lately. Now, recently, in response to what's going on with George Floyd and all the protesting and everything, Terry Crews made a statement basically saying, defeating white supremacy without white people creates black supremacy. creates black supremacy. Equality is the truth. Like it or not, we are all in this together. So, okay, I mean, to a degree, we're in this together, to a degree, even though we are the ones getting brutalized. So I don't think we have to necessarily collaborate with a white ally to fix our goddamn problem. Not on a large scale. First, we have to kind of come together before we can go to somebody outside of our community. But just saying using the term black supremacy, I mean, I don't even know what the fuck that means. I don't even know how that could be possible in a system ran by white structural racism. You know what I mean? So it makes no sense. And again, this comment could have been out of context. He could have meant to say something different. It could have been more to it, right? I'm giving the brother all the benefit of the doubt in the world, right? But at the end of the day, the reason why I'm bringing the story up, y'all, listen to me clearly. Every time a celebrity says something, from a big celebrity, from a smaller, from a B, C celebrity to an A-list celebrity, it's almost like we're hanging on their every word with all these different media outlets available in our country today. They're always giving us sound bites about what celebrities say. And this is how I think about it. This is why I'm not mad at the brother. I think it's two parts to it, because some people are so enamored by celebrities that they take their word as law. So with that being said, it's important that people who don't know about certain shit, you need to shut up. Just because you've amassed a certain amount of money, just because you've amassed a certain amount of influence, just because you're good at your job, like your acting job, if you're a good actor, that don't mean that qualifies you to just speak out on all of our issues. Because I know enough to know, I don't celebrity worship. So I don't care who the celebrity is. I'm not taking your word as law. I can do my own research. I can look shit up myself. I have my own perspective. I don't really give a fuck what you think, just to be honest. And that's just being honest. I don't really care what no celebrity think about nothing. But however, I know I live in a society full of fucking followers. So there's somebody following all of these celebrities, unfortunately. So if they come out and say something that's disparaging towards black people, or that's disparaging towards our culture, that can leave a negative mark. You know what I mean? Because you'll have people believing this shit. You'll have people regurgitating this shit. So from that aspect, we shouldn't really listen to celebrities for. If you're an athlete, if you're an actor, that's what I look to you for. I'm not saying shut up and dribble. Don't get it twisted. I'm not saying you can't speak on social issues, but I think we should all do what's in our heart. If it's in your heart to speak on social issues, if it's in your heart to help people fight injustices, do that. If it's not, don't. If it's not in you to speak on shit, if you haven't researched things, if you haven't done, if you haven't looked at historical references about what you're talking about, maybe you should be quiet. Like silence, it could be perceived as a negative thing, but what if you don't know what the fuck you're talking about? You know what I mean? So I'm not mad at the brother. I'm kind of mad at us in society a little bit, talking to my black folks in particular. We got to know who to listen to and who not to listen to. You know what I mean? Some people, some black men in society who talk, know about white supremacy, they know about politics, they know about racism. They can give us an insight or perspective on these things that can help us moving forward. That's not everybody though. Some of these niggas is just actors or athletes or, you know what I mean? Or rappers. Just because you saying some shit don't mean it's deep. Just because you saying some shit don't mean it have validity to it. You know what I mean? So look, Terry Crews has come out and said disparaging things about black folks. More power to him. But if you're a black man and woman and you're an adult in today's society and you don't know about the history of what's taking place with us, do your due diligence before you open your fucking mouth. Just so you can be more informed. Just so you can really help us out. You know what I mean? But for all the people listening, for all the fans, for all the people who support celebrities and entertainers, people like us, y'all shouldn't give a shit about what a celebrity says. If you want information about history or information about whatever they're speaking about in particular, do your due diligence and find that shit out for yourself. Fuck the celebrity worship. Like every other day I'm looking online and it's unknown, and I'm not gonna say no names, but it's a rapper, a female rapper, or somebody comes out and says something about George Floyd. What do you expect these people to say, y'all? What do we expect from entertainers? Why the fuck do we get so disappointed when a rapper or entertainer or somebody comes out and says something ignorant? Everybody don't give a fuck about black people. Just because you black does not mean you riding with us. Just because you black don't mean you care about the black struggle. Some of these people have spent years or several or large parts of their life trying to get famous in whatever field that they're in, whether they be a rapper, whether they be an actor, whether they be some other form of entertainer, a comedian. They've spent their time trying to perfect this craft. Sometime when you do that, you're not looking at what's going on around you. You're not looking at the injustices. You're not looking at racism. You're not looking at none of that shit, right? So I don't expect you to have a profound statement on some shit that you don't even care about, right? But in today's society, every time somebody says something disparaging, oh, we're gonna cancel this person, we're gonna cancel that person. We ain't got the right to actually cancel nobody. You know what I mean? Let people say what they want to say. You should know enough about what's important to you to know when somebody telling you some bullshit. If somebody say something, anybody, you should go research that shit for yourself anyways, regardless of who they are, right? Regardless if it's a conscious person, if it's a person that you trust in and been listening to for years, you should still do your own goddamn research. So regardless of what celebrities say, that shit shouldn't matter. So yes, Terry Crews came out and said some shit that was disparaging, said some shit that I'm baffled. Like, I don't even know what the fuck black supremacy is. He needs to do a little more research, but I don't hate the brother for that. He may not know a lot about what he's talking about, right? He should shut up, but he may not know a lot about what he's talking about. You know what I'm saying? So fuck this celebrity worship, y'all. Shit, worship yourself. Worship your family, goddammit. All right, so that's it for the news stories for today. 3 news stories. Yep, that's it for the news stories for today. So show's almost over, but this is what I want to speak about really quickly. So I feel with all the protests going on, with the injustices that we're seeing in our society, having a president who's a racist and a fucking idiot, this is a beautiful time, family. This is a beautiful time, family. If you are a black person, a melanated person who's never taken the time to look up information about history, to look up information about what's been going on in this country, For your children's sake, for your children's sake, it's important that you do that. For your children's sake. It's important before your kids leave your home. Schools, public schools, even private schools, shit, they're not going to teach your kids about the ins and outs of what's happened to melanated people in this country. That's your job, family. I was talking to my boy Jermaine Morris the other day about, different things going on in society right now. And, a large portion of parents that I've seen, and they could be just playing, but I've seen a lot of parents online speaking about how public schools don't teach your kids shit. Public schools don't give the right information, the right historical perspectives, right? But at the same time, when public schools shut down and your kid couldn't go to school and your kid had to be in the house with you, a lot of parents wasn't using this as an opportunity to educate their kids on what's going on in the world, educate their kids on what has taken place in history. And I think that's a travesty, right? Because I'm all about positivity and using everything at my disposal, using everything that happens and turning that into a positive, right? And this is a horrible time that we're living in. Watching police treat our people this way is fucking, it's mind-boggling. It's hurting to view, right? And certain people are marching because of it. Certain people are protesting because of it, who may have never done it before. Certain people are online expressing their disdain for everything that's going on. But if you have kids, the best thing you can do right now? Of course, however you want to revolt. I mean, shit, do so. We deserve it. Everything that we've been through, we definitely deserve it. But I think one of the biggest things you can do right now, the best thing you can do right now, is sit down and have a conversation with your children about what's going on. Sit down and whip out some books that you may have. If you don't have books about Black history, that's fine. Whip out Google, right? And what I would say, what I'm going to give you real quickly, this is just all my perspective, family. I'm going to give you real quickly a couple things I think you can start with to teach your kids about our history. You can start here, and from here, whatever kind of comes up from here, use it as a springboard to learn other things. But here's where I think we should start. So the first place, because slavery is one thing. If you want to look up antebellum slavery and how that took place from the 1500s all the way into like the late 1800s is when that transpired. If you want to look that up, fine. But as far as America is concerned, I would say the first place we should start is the Reconstruction era. So all my parents out there, get to a computer, and with your child, you can look it up on your own first, then bring your kids in after you kind of get some information on what you learn. But you want to look up the Reconstruction era, which happened after the American Civil War. It was a time period where they were going, they were trying to restructure everything to include Black people. They were trying to restructure everything after America had basically collapsed, you know what I mean? And during this time, what was instituted during the Reconstruction era was the Black codes, right? Because we're talking about, we're not slaves anymore. So the Emancipation Proclamation took place where, he releases the slaves in 1863. We didn't find out fully to 1865 around that time. But during the Reconstruction era, it was important because Black people were attempting, when they left us, whenever, any time in history, we were left to our own devices, we flourished. Whenever we were left and they left us alone, we figured out a way to make shit happen. This was kind of taking place during the Reconstruction era. Then they instituted the Black codes, right? The Black codes were basically just another form of social control after the Emancipation Proclamation faltered. So the Black codes included, we had to go back into indentured servitude. So slavery was over, but it wasn't over, because you still had to go work for somebody white at menial wages. You got taxed. There was this black tax you had to pay where you're getting taxed just for being Black on top of what you already had to pay for shit. You were getting this extra tax on top of that, right? You couldn't vote. You couldn't. So it was a lot of restrictions that was still put into play based on you were Black. So we weren't free, right? So slavery was over, but it wasn't over. So the Reconstruction era lasted from 1865 to 1877. So Black parents, that's all the information I'm going to give you. Go look the information up for yourself. Do your due diligence on how this affected our people, right? So that's the Reconstruction era. After the Reconstruction era, After the Reconstruction era was Jim Crow. Jim Crow lasted from around 1877 until the 1950s. You're on camera, baby. 1877 to the 1950s. Now, just so you know, Jim Crow was named after a famous minstrel routine that was kind of popular in like 1828, somewhere around there. A famous minstrel show called Jump Jim Crow. Just so you guys know as well. So the Reconstruction era, and then Jim Crow was extremely important also. But look up also, and I wasn't going to talk about this one, but you might as well. Look up also minstrel shows. Look up minstrel shows, which was like the antithesis of the blackface thing. And minstrel shows was the first form of entertainment in the United States. So this is before television. This is before any of that. It was plays, basically, where we had white men dressing up as black men, degrading us, like speaking in a really broken language, just kind of making fun of us, right? So keep it in mind, family, when we look at how TV is portrayed, when we look at how media is portrayed, how we're portrayed in the media, how we're portrayed in a lot of different avenues, keep in mind that the first form of entertainment in the United States was minstrel shows making fun of black people. So let that sink in. So do your due diligence on minstrel shows as well, right? So the Jim Crow era is where we see, and again, many people may know this, but for my black parents who do not know, it's important that you start with these basic history lessons for your family, right? Jim Crow is where we seen the whites only signs. This is where we get the whites only signs. This is where we get the segregated schools. This is where we get the segregation, right? So even during this era, there was parts of black society that was flourishing because we were away from white people, because we were put in a situation where we didn't need them, or I'm sorry, where we couldn't use them, right? Every around that time, all black people understood who the enemy was, right? It's not like now, how because of money and influence and mixed children, all these different factors we have to deal with today that convolutes kind of who the enemy is to a degree, right? But back then, because you were getting hung, because you were getting called nigga, it was obvious who the enemy was. So nobody wasn't playing no games. They wasn't acquiescing with white society because they couldn't. They had to be around black people. So when that was the case, we began to build up again. You know what I mean? So understand, family, that even though these time periods were horrific for black people, we always found a way to come back together. We always found a way to exert some type of strength in these horrible times, right? So again, Reconstruction era is one. Right after the Reconstruction era, the Jim Crow era, which lasted all the way up to the 50s and the 60s when the Civil Rights Movement became popular, right? So these are time periods in our history that not only as adults, but our children need to know about. And like I was saying, all of this shit going on in our country, you know, it can be used as a catalyst to teach yourself something, because I see a lot of people online stressing their discomfort for what they're seeing in society, and I appreciate that, and I think that's necessary. But at the end of the day, what are we gonna do with what we're watching? I know you're distraught. I know it's horrible to see, but use it as a positive thing, right? Even for my people out there marching and protesting, that's one form of resistance. I talked about some black businesses today that need our support. So when we talk about resistance, when we talk about the revolution, this shit can take place on many fronts, not just the agitation side of things. Like the support we show one another, trying to make sure a black dollar goes around in our community several times before we bring it to somebody white. That's an integral part of this revolution as well. Right? So it's one part getting a contextual understanding of history so you can know what you're looking at, so you can know what I think learning history can also help you decide how do you want to be a part of the movement, right? Everybody has a part to play. Some people write about it Some people speak about it like I'm doing now. Some people are artists. Some people do art about it, right? Some people are actors or musicians. So it's about using whatever your gift is, whatever your talent is. You can use that to fight this system, but the historical perspective gives you context, right? It contextualizes what you're looking at. In the financial aspect, kind of builds up our society from inside out, right? When we support black businesses, when we give our money to people who look like us, it's building up a black infrastructure that we all need. And we spend a lot of money. People say how much money we spend every year. Of course, white people, Asian people, they spend a lot of money every year too. But a lot of times they're spending money inside of their community. So if we can kind of master that part, then we'll be better off as well. So this revolutionary thing, family, this is an ongoing process, and this is difficult, right? This ain't just shouting from the rooftop when some shit happened that you don't like. It's an ongoing process that you have to be involved in. And like I mentioned last week on the show, I have a lot of black people around me that I'm fond of who may have never expressed their disdain for racism. Right? As long as I've been around them, they never really expressed how racism has impacted them, or how they don't like it, or how it's enraging them, right? And I don't knock somebody. If it's not in you to fight for black people, don't. I think we all should. But if it's not in you to fight for black people, don't. We need people who are as genuine as possible. But some of these people, now that what they see going on with George Floyd, and I think I was speaking to my brother Jermaine Morris about this as well. He made a good point about there not being anything going on right now. So when we look at society, typically we are handed a handful of distractions that kind of keeps our mind off of real shit, whether that be sports, whether that be musical events, whether that be restaurants, whether that be being able to go to the club. Because lately we haven't had the ability to do any of these things. The world has had to focus on injustice, and that's been a good thing. But for my black folks, we need to continue this movement, and you need to figure out how you can be helpful in this movement, right? But the first thing we need to do, like, let's say you don't have it in you to go out and protest, or go out and speak truth to power at your job, or you don't want to ruffle no feathers to a degree. I understand that, but the least you can do is use your home as a springboard for revolutionary thinking. Use your home. So start with your kids. The Reconstruction era, start there. Move on down to Jim Crow, minstrel shows. Get a contextual understanding of why all these things happen, so we can kind of know how to move forward. That won't cost you no money, family. That won't cost you nothing. That's just because we are on our phone. Most of us, if not all of us, are always on our phones doing something, right? You know how much shit you can figure out with that phone? Like, I don't know if all of us are using these tools, using these mediums for the best thing possible, right? On your phone, you can find out all the information that I've been talking about, family. So use that. Use this time, these quarantine times, even though it's almost over, they're gradually opening everything back up. We should have been using this as a way to teach our families about what has happened in this country. It could have been some great teaching lessons. But it's not over. Even if it's something you haven't done, still do it, family. Sit down with your kids, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 years old. Sit down with them. There's all kind of books you can find too, family. My brother Khalid White, out of the Bay Area, writes books with black images in them. Not necessarily about history, but he writes books for little kids so they can kind of see themselves. That's a part of it as well. You could teach your young person about history, but also if you got a little boy, you got a little girl, make sure the doll you buy her is black. Make sure the books you buy her have black images in them, right? So creating self-love starts on a lot of different levels, family. You feel me? So that's been another episode, man, of the Melanated Convo podcast. I appreciate everybody who comments on the shows. I appreciate everybody who shares the shows on social media. Like, I really, really, really do appreciate that. This has been another episode. You can find the show, family, on Melanated Fathers TV on YouTube. You can find the show on melanatedfathers.com, my website. I always post the show there. I post the live video of the show is on Facebook as well. Like I said, if you are new to my YouTube channel, please subscribe to the channel. Hit that notification bell so you can know when I drop new videos. If you're looking at this on Facebook, please share it with everybody that you know. Hit that like button as well. This has been another episode of the Melanated Convo podcast. I'm out.